Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaim Narottam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Vadreshu Nityam Bhakti Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtike. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 17, Mother Parvati curses Chitraketu. Text number 11 onwards. Shri Parvati Vacha Ayam Kim Adhuna Loke Shastra Dandadhara Prabhu Asmad Vidhanam Dushtanam Nirlajjanam Ja Viprakrit. The goddess Parvati said, alas, how this upstart means Chitraketu, now received a post from which to punish shameless persons like us. Has he been appointed ruler, carrier of the rod of punishment? Is he now the only master of everything? So King Chitraketu, as we saw yesterday, he saw Lord Shiva having Mother Parvati on his lap, and he was embracing, and all the sages were in front, just like you can see in the background. And he laughed. He laughed at Lord Shiva. Of course, he did not make fun of Lord Shiva, but he still laughed, and that was not proper actually. So now Shivji just smiled and remained silent. Then all the sages also the same way. And we can see there is Narad Muni and there were 4 Kumaras. There were other sages also in the assembly. And they were not saying anything to Shivji when Parvati was sitting on his lap. But Mother Parvati got very upset. Na Ved Dharmam Kil Padma Yonir, na Brahmaputra Bhrigu Naradadya, na Vai Kumara Kapilo Manusha, Yeno Nishedhyante Vartinam Haram. Alas, Lord Brahma, who has taken his birth from the lotus flower, does not know the principles of religion, nor do the great saints like Bhrigu and Narad, nor the 4 Kumaras headed by Sanat Kumar, Manu and Kapila have also forgotten the religious principles. I suppose it to be because of this they have not tried to stop Lord Shiva from behaving improperly. So sarcastically, she's saying that Brahmaji doesn't know the religious principles. Bhrigu, Narad, they don't know. 4 Kumaras don't know. Manu, Kapila also they have forgotten. That is why they didn't stop Lord Shiva from behaving improperly. Esham anudhye padabja yugmam jagadgurum mangala mangalam swayam yakshatra bandhu paribhuya surin prashasti drishtas tadayam hi dandaya. This Chitraketu is the lowest of Kshatriyas, for he has impudently overridden Brahma and the other demigods by insulting Lord Shiva, upon whose lotus feet they always meditate. Lord Shiva is personified religion and the spiritual master of the entire world, and therefore Chitraketu be punished. All the members of the assembly were exalted Brahmins and self-realized souls, but they did not say anything about the conduct of Lord Shiva, who was embracing the goddess Parvati on his lap. Chitraketu nonetheless criticized Shiva, and therefore the opinion of Parvati was that he should be punished. Nayam arhati vaikuntha padmulopasarpanam sambhavitam atihistabdha sadhubhi parupasitam. This person is puffed up because of his achievement, thinking I am the best. He does not deserve to approach the shelter of the lotus feet, the Lord Vishnu's lotus feet, which are worshipped by all saintly persons, for he is impudent, thinking himself greatly important. If a devotee thinks that he is very much advanced in devotional service, he is considered puffed up and unfit to sit beneath the shelter of the Lord's lotus feet. Again, this instruction by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is applicable. The one we studied yesterday. Trinadapi Shanichena Tarorapi Saheshna. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. Unless one is humble and meek, one cannot qualify to sit at the lotus feet of the Lord, because then he wouldn't want to sit at the lotus feet of the Lord. So humility makes us look for the shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord. And it's not like artificial humility. It is the constitutional position of the soul, because after all, soul, when we come to the level of understanding who we are, spirit soul, 1/10,000th part of the tip of the hair. Right now, I think I'm a 5'9" and I have so much of weight and I have degrees and have money and this or the bodily strength and whatever I have. But as a spirit soul, what do I have? Nothing. So coming to the level of spirit soul and understanding our position to be part and parcel of Krishna, then we understand what a humble position I am in, and I should be thinking that way. And when we come to that humble position, then we take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. And then we can chant properly. See, for chanting also, the mood has to be right. There has to be proper emotions, should be coming from the bottom, from the core of our heart. This is a prayer. And prayer can only come out when we are humble, when we think we desperately need to take shelter of his lotus feet. So, and in this incident of Mother Parvati, Lord Shiva, King Chitraketu, and all the sages, of course, yesterday we saw Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explained that it was orchestrated by Lord Krishna, Lord Vishnu, so that Chitraketu Maharaj could come back to Vaikuntha very fast. Swiftly, he wanted to bring him back. So there is only one incident, right? Lord Shiva is sitting with Mother Parvati on his lap. All the sages are there. They're discussing something, Krishna Katha. And Chitraketu Maharaj flying over, and he saw. He did not laugh at Lord Shiva in a bad way. He laughed, thinking only Lord Shiva can do that. Only he can control his senses like that. And now Mother Parvati got angry. Now, if we look at this incident from everybody's perspective, everybody is right. Chitraketu Maharaj is right. Lord Shiva is correct. All the sages, Narad Muni, Brahma, everybody who was sitting there, they're correct. And Mother Parvati is also correct. So, see, the thing is, in the material world, everybody looks at any incident from their own perspective, from their own viewpoint, which is guided by their consciousness. And from that perspective, actually, everybody is correct. Nobody's wrong, because this material world is a relative world. Relative because everybody's consciousness is relative. It depends upon one's level of advancement or level of entanglement in the material world, the consciousness will be like that. So who is correct? Nobody is absolutely correct. Everybody is relatively correct. Only person absolutely correct is the Lord, or his pure servant, because they look at it from an absolute perspective. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he looked at this incident and he realized, or by mercy of Krishna, it was revealed to him that actually it was Lord Krishna who was orchestrating everything. But Mother Parvati got angry and she cursed Chitraketu. And of course, we'll study further that King Chitraketu, he just folded his hands and he got down from his plane and he paid obeisances. He said, yes, I'll take your curse on my head. He did not curse back. He did not try to give his justification. And even Lord Shiva did not try to stop Parvati. So the point is, every day in our lives, every single day, we come across situations where we look at something from our perspective, everybody else is looking at something from their own perspective, and practically everybody is correct. It might not be in our favor, everybody's perspective, but it's their perspective. Ultimately, we have to understand everything is orchestrated by Krishna, or Krishna's energies. Just like I was thinking about, suppose there's a movie, let's say Amitabh Bachchan and his whatever heroine and villains associates, and villain and villains associates, they come and do something to maybe Amitabh or his girlfriend or his mother or whatever. And Amitabh goes and confronts them and they say, oh, she did this and that's why we did this. Whatever. It's all story, movie. So now Amitabh must be thinking how his girlfriend was right, or his mother or his brother, whatever that person, how he was right. And the person who got hit, he must be thinking how he was right. And the person who hit, he must be thinking he was right in hitting. And he would say, no, I actually, on my own, I didn't have any problem with me. I was ordered by my boss to hit him. And the boss must also be right, because everybody have their own self-interest in the whole scenario. But ultimately, it's just a movie. There's nothing real in this. And they all are playing their parts based on director's instructions. And the script writer, whatever he has written, they just read the script or speak their dialogues like puppets. Of course, they put in their own emotions, and that's what we go and watch. So if we look at that movie, who is right? From their perspective, everybody is right. But ultimately, it's a director who's directing them. So similarly, in our movie of this life, this is what happens. Everybody is correct. But there's somebody else who's directing everything. And that we can see only when we disassociate or detach from that movie. And obviously, when our consciousness is there at that level, spiritual level, then we can see everything is directed by Krishna. He doesn't take the blame because it is our desire to be in this movie. And because of our karmas, we are given this part. But then everything is directed by him. And when we think of it in that way, then in our lives will be peace. Will be blissful also. Instead of putting blames on everybody else, of course, we won't blame Krishna, but we will be thankful to him for whatever he has done. Understanding, I am his devotee. And he is my protector. He is my friend, best friend, Suhridam Sarva Bhutana. And he cannot have anything wrong happen to me. It might look wrong in the short term, but ultimately it won't be wrong. It won't be bad for me because I'm his devotee. I've taken shelter of his lotus feet. And him being the Supreme Lord, he himself says, come and take shelter, I'll protect you from every kind of fear. And all the sinful reactions will be gone. Don't worry. So that perspective can only come in our minds, in our hearts, in our thoughts, when we are spiritually advanced. Until then, we'll be looking at everything from a material perspective, from a relative perspective, and we would be acting that way. And if we just look around, even if you don't have to look around, if you just think of any situation happened yesterday, look at everybody's reaction, and maybe somebody was shouting and somebody was laughing and somebody was neutral. Everybody was acting according to their own perspective. But this acting was directed by Krishna only. Nothing can happen without his sanction. But that's what it is. It takes practice and changing or transforming our consciousness, transforming our heart. And that is why sadhus are always blissful. They don't care for anything. Because they know he is taking care of everything, and he will, and he has been, he is, and he will always. It's all his creation, all his Maya. But to come to that understanding, that's the tricky part. So for that, we have to elevate ourselves spiritually. Otherwise, we'll continue to blame others. Just like, coronavirus, so many people dying in India and all over the world, they've been dying. And right now, it's terrible situation in India. And one of the famous doctors, like somebody told us yesterday, Dr. K.K. Agarwal, who had helped so many people, and he himself was a specialist. He was vaccinated. Best of the facilities he might be having in his hospital where he was being treated, and still he died. Now, who do we blame? Do we blame Kejriwal? Do we blame Modi? Do we blame the hospital staff? Do we blame K.K. Agarwal himself? Do we blame his wife, his kids? Who do we blame? Or ultimately we blame Krishna. Why did you take him away? Nobody. So it takes a thoughtful, advanced, spiritually advanced, peaceful mind to see everything. And chaotic, just like if it's in a part of water, if there is dust in the water and the water is shaken, we cannot see the bottom. Let the pot rest down. Let the water be still. Let the sand settle down, and then everything will be clear. And the same thing is with our mind. Every second, so many thoughts are going in, out, and especially with these smartphones, we have access to so much of information every second, and it tends to shake our mind, shake our thought, shake our heart. And when the mind is shaken and all the desires and all the impressions, they are roaming around, moving around and unsettled, then we cannot see things properly. We cannot have the right perspective. Let it all settle down. Let's come to mode of goodness, if not beyond, to look at things. And then we will see, oh, what was happening. Ultimately, it's all done by Krishna. All, everything. Sanctioning is his, controlling is his, everything is controlled by him, sanctioned by him. Nothing can go out of his control. Nothing. But that doesn't mean we don't do our duties properly. It doesn't mean that. If somebody is a policeman, he has to do his job properly. If somebody is an administrator, he has to do his job properly. As a doctor or nurse or whatever, we have to do our duties. But ultimately, everything rests upon him. Text 15. Atah papi yasim yonim asurim ya durmate yate bhuyo mahatam na karta putra kilpisham. O impudent one, my dear son, now take birth in a low, sinful family of demons, so that you will not commit such an offense again toward exalted, saintly persons in this world. It's funny. Mother Parvati calls him my dear son also. Oh, impudent one, my dear son. Actually, in the world, everybody is son of Mother Durga or Parvati. In a way, one should be very careful not to commit offenses at the lotus feet of Vaishnavas, of whom Lord Shiva is the best. While instructing Srila Rupa Goswami, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu described an offense at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava as Hathi Mata, a mad elephant. When a mad elephant enters a nice garden, it spoils the entire garden. Similarly, if one becomes like a mad elephant and commits offenses at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava, his entire spiritual career is halted. One should therefore be very careful not to commit offenses at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava. And although Maharaj Chitraketu did not commit an offense, but it was still considered an offense by Mother Parvati. Mother Parvati was justified in punishing Chitraketu, for Chitraketu impudently criticized the Supreme Father Mahadeva, who is the father of the living entities conditioned within this material world. The goddess Durga is called Mother and Lord Shiva is called Father. A pure Vaishnava should be very careful to engage in a specific duty without criticizing others. This is the safest position. Otherwise, if one tends to criticize others, he may commit the great offense of criticizing a Vaishnava. So why Lord Shiva is considered the father and Mother Durga as the mother? As we know, so when this universe is created and Lord Brahma he appears on his own on this lotus flower, and he starts the creation, dating all the planets and 8,400,000 species, but the souls are not there. So then Lord Vishnu glances at the universe, and with his glance comes all the souls from his body, within his body, into the universe. But that glance, personification of that glance is Sadashiv. So Sadashiv brings the souls from the body of Mahavishnu into a given universe. And he brings it through the yoni of Durgaji, of Parvati. So because everybody comes through the yoni of Durgaji, or the material world, the superintendent is Durgaji, so that's why she's considered the mother. And Lord Shiva brings it from Mahavishnu. He can be called a father, although the original father and mother both is Vishnu. But for a material universe, since they are the instruments of bringing the souls into this universe, they can be considered as father and mother. Because Chitraketu was undoubtedly a Vaishnava, he might have been surprised that Parvati had cursed him. Therefore, the goddess Parvati addressed him as a putra or son. Everyone is the son of Mother Durga, but she is not an ordinary mother. As soon as there is a small discrepancy in a demon's behavior, Mother Durga immediately punishes the demon so that he may come to his senses. And that is why she has the trident in her hand. So that trident is to punish all the living entities with Adibhautik, Adi-Atmik, and Adidavik klesha. So as Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita, Devi hi esha gunamai, mam maya durutyaya. The divine energy of mind consisting of the three modes of material nature is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. To surrender to Krishna means to surrender to his devotees also, for no one can be a proper servant of Krishna unless he is a proper servant of a devotee. Chariya Vaishnava Seva Nistara Paichake. Without serving a servant of Krishna, one cannot be elevated to being a servant of Krishna himself. Therefore, Mother Parvati spoke to Chitraketu exactly like a mother who says to her naughty child, "My dear child, I'm punishing you so that you won't do anything like this again." This tendency of a mother to punish her child is found even in Mother Yashoda, who became the mother of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Mother Yashoda punished Krishna by binding him and showing him a stick. Thus, it is a duty of a mother to chastise her beloved son, even in the case of the Supreme Lord. It is to be understood that Mother Durga was justified in punishing Chitraketu. This punishment was a boon to Chitraketu because after taking birth as a demon Vritrasura, he was promoted directly to Vaikuntha. So it was a boon, but nevertheless, Mother Parvati got angry at him and cursed him. That may you be born in a low, sinful family of demons because you acted like a demon. So anyway, we'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments?
So Prabhuji,
Yes,
Prabhuji, so how should we see this pandemic and so much destruction in Gujarat with cyclone and everything? So, I mean, we've never seen in our generation all these things. So what should we think about it?
Well, it is our karma that is coming back to us. That's all it is. In 1920 and 1920 also in Spanish flu, so many people died all over the world.
Yeah.
So many people died. We can say in our lifetime we haven't seen, but obviously we were here that time also. In some other, born in some other place, in some other species, we were there.
Yeah.
So we just have to learn our lesson and do more devotional service, take more shelter of Krishna. So we don't have to go through this again.
Right.
Is it okay?
Yes. Thank you,
Okay.
Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other question or comment? Okay, so we'll stop here. You all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Hare